Who are the 10 most important players to watch at Mets spring training? We got games this weekend. The Mets play baseball. Is it meaningful? The wins and losses aren't, but what happens inside the games for these individual players is something that me and James are going to be super watching over. Before we do get going into our list, make sure you guys are subscribed to Mets'd, and if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. It's Mets'd. We really got 11 players. For the YouTube title, we went 10, but I'm excited because as high as I think of this team, it is crazy that we can come up with 11 players easily that we're like, what's going on here?
We could get 14, 15, 16. We'll probably find a way to mention that many players anyway. But just the talk around the league right now, and I think it's fair, is that there's not many teams that have as wide of a range between ceiling and floor as the Mets do. And I think that's it's going to be fun for the regular season, but it's at least fun to get morsels of that in spring training as to what these guys are going to look like. Because right off the bat, the first, I think, to me, the most interesting player that we have to watch this spring, Bo Bichette's learning a new position. And
learning is very obvious.
Well, I mean, again, I think that's something that's going to happen in spring training. Shout out all the beat reporters who have to get their clicks, get their impressions. It's part of the game. We understand that. If you want to get a clean 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 impressions on Twitter, find a grainy video of Bo Bichette booting a ground ball, and you're golden.
Should we make a Mets'd up post? Just Bo Bichette fielding ground balls, just see how it goes. Just
steal someone's thing and see what they get mad.
Yeah, just take it and be like, what do you think about how does Bo Bichette look at third base? Because here's why I'll say we have to watch him. He looks horrible at the position. He looks unbelievably uncomfortable. And all the concerns that you had about Bo Bichette were on the fielding side and the athleticism side because of the injury and just the fact that he didn't particularly move well last year, even when he wasn't injured. Looks like it could be a bit of a mess at third base. But that being said, it is very early in spring. He's learning how to play a new position. The Mets got Kai Correa. They fully trust in him to be able to get Bo Bichette to be a good third baseman. And he got J.D. Davis to be a good one. So if you can do that, I think you can basically make a Rock a good third baseman.
The flip side of this is that Bo Bichette was a horrible shortstop, and he always has been. The funniest thing about this is watching a lot of the Blue Jays community really not turn on Bo Bichette, but just like be reposting a lot of his lowlights. Yeah, because But also, they're the same people who would vivaciously defend Bo Bichette at any point in time over the last 5 years. If you would have said Francisco Lindor was a better shortstop than him, ignoring defense in those moments and now realizing it. But it's going to be a big deal for this team. But then the other part of me makes me think it might not be that big of a deal for this team if Bo Bichette sucks at third base defense, because if he's that bad and you have to pull the plug, you just have Brett Baty. And Brett Baty so far has gotten a lot more time this spring. I've seen him taking ground balls at second. I've seen him doing drills at first. We've seen him starting to shag some fly balls in right field. This could all really get washed away and wiped away really easily if he's just the third baseman on May 6th. And again, I'm not going to say I expect that to happen, but it's at least a really good fail-safe.
Yeah, just in case Bo Bichette can't handle it, which, again, seems to be in the realm of possibilities. And I think for Bo Bichette's sake, he really wants to be able to play third, because if he's going to opt out of the contract this year, he needs to have a position. He can't just be a DH.
What's your gut telling you how many years Bo Bichette spends as a Met?
All three.
You think?
I don't see. He would have to ball. He's gonna have to ball out so hard to make more than that on the market. Like,
I don't know. We just saw Bregman do it. The years are so much more important than the AAV to the players.
Bregman can play third base.
No, yeah, very well.
And he can play second base, and in a pinch, he can play shortstop. Right now, we know Bo Bichette can't play two of them.
I think Bo Bichette's a better hitter than Alex Bregman right now.
Maybe at singles.
I think he'll have a higher WRC plus than Alex Bregman, for sure.
Ooh, man, don't make me take that bet. Is that our stake bet this year? Don't make me root against the Mets. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking it. I'm not taking that.
But again, we still have time. Like this is
also not thinking Bo Bichette's going to be bad. But I want that to be known.
I think Bo Bichette is going to be good, but these are the shortcomings that we knew Bo Bichette had coming in. And again, the Mets signed him to that contract because they were very confident he could acclimate to third base. So kind of the big crux of this is just because we've seen a few grainy videos of a ball bouncing off his glove doesn't mean he can't play third base. It might mean he can't play it yet.
Yeah, he definitely can't play it right now. On February 18th, Bo Bichette is not capable of playing Major League third base at a high enough level.
We have 5 weeks until opening day. You know, you could change your life in 5 weeks. Anything can happen in 5 weeks.
Springtime. It's Groundhog's Day. What did the Groundhog see this year? Do you see his shadow?
More winter, yeah, more winter.
That's terrible. Terrible news. All right, but yeah, Bo Bichette's definitely someone we're monitoring, but strictly from the defensive side. At the plate, I have all the faith in the world.
100%. Again, don't let the videos that you're seeing right now really sully your image of him, because every single person on Twitter has had their image sullied already.
Number 2, Jonah Tong. We know that Jonah Tong can be legitimately an ace if he can just get a third pitch. If there's something that breaks glove side, Jonah Tong is going to be awesome. The fastball's electric. The changeup is phenomenal as a second pitch. Needs a third pitch. Needs something moving glove side. That's all I care about watching in spring training. What does a slider look like? Does he get a sweeper? Does his curveball change the path that it's on? What does that look like? Because if he gets that, there's a very good chance that Jonah Tong makes some big, big starts for the Mets in 2026.
Yeah, I think the whole baseball world right now is disregarding Jonah Tong a little bit. When, like, as a statistical comp in the minor leagues, he wasn't that far off from, like, Paul Skeens a few years ago. Just pure, not a comp in any
Not the
way,
same,
but
yeah.
a statistical comp, as in striking out like 45, 50% of the batters he was facing in Double-A, even at a younger age. It's just, we saw the way hitters could play the cat and mouse game with Jonah Tong last year and how that was really detrimental to his success, where fastballs are going to be high, secondaries, changeups, and the smattering of curveballs were going to be low. If that pitch is coming in above your belt, now you're swinging. If that pitch is coming in low, you can just spit and wait for the other one. Then Jonah Tong tries to cat and mouse back. Oh, let me throw the fastballs low, get some called strikes. Then you're just not getting swings and misses in that pitch. They have more time to react. They can still hit that ball. It's just you need a weapon. But if he gets that weapon, I think it could happen very fast for Jonah Tong.
It could be one of those things where he gets that pitch, and we've seen Jonah Tong skyrocket in terms of development. So if there was a guy that I believe was going to be able to figure out a pitch like that, it feels like the guy who did that, who was a mid-round draft pick, like, what was he, 9th round or something like that?
Something like that. I mean, out of Canada, he came to the U.S., I think it was during COVID, to get scouted or something crazy.
He looks like
That
a
was
child.
Calvin Ziegler. That was Calvin Ziegler.
He is Canadian, though.
Got my
Tong.
Canadians confused here.
A lot of Canadian pipeline for the Mets. I didn't realize this, but like, if there's someone who I trust can figure it out, it's him. And if he does, there's just a world he might, like, sneaky be like the third best starter on this team.
That's kind of a conversation that seems to be happening now. We're going to get to Tobias Myers maybe towards the end of this. We can just shoot him up to the front now, where I don't really know what the Mets think about what we perceive as the middle of their own rotation, truthfully.
I think because of the fall off of David Peterson last year when he hit the most innings that he's ever thrown, I think that's concerning, and I think that's something that would be foolish for the Mets to not consider in 2026, that he might only have 150 good innings, and anything over that, he might be unpitchable, which we saw
Might have
last
110.
year. Yeah, he might have less. Who knows? Like, he might just be a little bit fragile. Sean Manaea's got loose bodies in his elbows still. Like, it's a ticking time bomb, sadly. Kodai Senga hasn't been able to stay healthy for the last couple seasons, and when he has, it's been an up and down. It's been a roller coaster. There are a lot of concerns, and that's what Mets fans were worried about going into the season. Tobias Myers, Carlos Mendoza said he's going to be on the opening day roster. Whether it's a starter or a reliever, we're not quite sure yet. I know you take that a little bit differently than me, so maybe share your opinion before I give my reasoning.
I just think that's a strange thing to say about a pitcher with an option in February. I think one of the biggest advantages about having a guy like Tobias Myers, who I think by all accounts and measures is a very, very suitable back-end starter right now with the potential to be a mid-rotation starter in his career. At the same time, I think he could also be a relatively high-end reliever. I think a lot of people, when they see his career splits as a starter being a mid-3s ERA and as a reliever, I think is an ERA under 2, you're immediately like, wow, this guy should just be a dominant reliever. But it's basically the same strikeout rate starting in relief. It was just many more walks as a starter compared to as a reliever. His pitch shapes changed also a little bit from 2 years ago when he was a starter to last year when he was a reliever. To me, if they're that certain he's going to be on the opening day roster, it makes me think that he might have a better chance to be starting. And one of these other guys we're discussing might actually be the long man, where I think it's the regular way of thinking that the reverse of that would be true. I think everyone's slotting Tobias Myers into being the long man, and then Manaea, Holmes, Peterson, Senga into the rotation. But I don't know. The fact that Carlos Mendoza said with such conviction he will be on the opening day roster, whatever role we get him on there is, I was kind of just taken aback by that.
Yeah, I see both sides of it. The way that I see it is that Tobias Myers is good enough where he has to be on this roster. Like, if the Mets are serious about winning, he's here. We don't know the role necessarily just yet, and I do kind of buy into that. I'm not reading the tea leaves of, like, maybe he's just going to be a starter if they're even considering it right now. I think it's more of, like, I mean, we need to see Sean Manaea have a clean spring training. We need to see Kodai Senga have a clean spring training. We need to see David Peterson have a clean spring training. There's a lot of moving parts right now at the back end of this Mets rotation where I think they feel confident in that no matter what, Tobias Myers, you are on this opening day roster. And considering that, like, David Peterson can't be optioned and all those other guys don't have the flexibility, there's no damage done if Tobias Myers starts on the opening day roster. Also, the Mets would hold his option right next year if he never goes down.
100%.
And that's, also, I think, another play.
I think that is a play too, but then those two kind of, to me, go against each other because, like, if he's good enough to be unquestioned on the Major League roster right now with the option, when maybe your starting rotation depth is better next year, I'm assuming, or maybe it's worse. Again, hard to figure that out. I guess it depends on if we get a Freddie Peralta extension or not. But we've talked about the schedule a lot. I won't bore you guys again by going through every single series in April. We just don't need 5 starters, let alone 6 until late. So, I mean, maybe there's already a built-in IL stint for one of these starting pitchers. We didn't even realize yet, because if we're going to carry 7 starting pitchers when we're on 6-game-a-week schedules for the entire first third of the season, at least, I mean, maybe first fifth of the season, it's like, okay, like then you kind of start to lose the depth in the middle of your bullpen. And I think that's something, too, that we kind of saw happen. I mean, we saw you lose depth in both of these areas last year. But then all of a sudden, then maybe you're turning Tobias Myers into a 2-inning guy. But if you're turning him into a 2-inning guy in the early part of the season, then it will take a little bit longer to build him up into being a full-time starter. Then you just send him down in May to get built up to be the fill-in guy. Like, it's, I don't know, maybe this is just a lot more confidence in Christian Scott and like Justin Hageman than we realize. Well, maybe they're going to be the stretched out starters in AAA. That's how this thing kind of flays off each other. That's why that quote just took me back. I was like, oh, you're locking yourself into that in February 18th.
Yeah, I ultimately see that. I think worst case scenario, he's probably going to be the piggyback for Sean Manaea, or Sean Manaea
maybe
the
that's
piggyback
part
for
of
him.
it, yeah.
Because like Sean Manaea was horrible last year, but where he really fell off and was a useless pitcher was when they tried to push him. Like the first 3 innings, and this is good. This is like the worst sentence ever. But like the first 3 innings, he was like a 4.2 pitcher. Like he had a 4.2 ERA. That's acceptable.
Someone just crashed their car.
Yeah, someone just committed a crime. But
Mark, you piece of shit.
The 4th and 5th inning, he had a 7 ERA. It was like we knew what the problem was for Sean Manaea. He couldn't throw more than 50 pitches. As soon as he went over 50, the gas ran out. And maybe they're just like, we're not going to push Sean Manaea right now because we have the options that can piggyback off him. Or again, he comes in super out of relief.
So even probably building off that as well. Part of this also about Kodai Senga, because similar things were happening.
Yes.
I don't know if you read it yet or if anyone else did, but
we're putting these guys all in the same conversation now because they're both Kodai and Sean Manaea on our list of guys to watch, and I guess Christian Scott too. We'll just do the rest of the pitchers here.
I mean, we'll get to Christian Scott later because there's more fun things to talk about with him. But Will Salmon's been on, as he's been on for months now. It's just a disgusting heather already in spring training. Every single day he's putting out a great article. He did one basically in tandem with Justin Willard. More of a profile on Justin Willard, but in doing so, there was a section in this piece on The Athletic by Will, again, shouting that again, about every single starting pitcher is supposed to be in this rotation on opening day. And it was kind of about what Willard's seeing about the guys, but there's nice little hints and tea leaves in this piece about where each Mets starter believes to be. And the part about Senga really stuck out to me, that it seemed like Senga may have stayed stateside this entire offseason, spent the whole time at Tread with the intention of becoming stronger. We said it when Willard got hired a few months ago. And Will used a lot of the same vernacular in his piece that we took from a podcast that Willard went on with a niche Red Sox prospect podcast like 2 full years ago. So I'm sure Will's will listen to that as well. And of course he did, because he's a great reporter. But it's all about throwing nasty stuff in the zone. That's it. And they're basically realizing that with Kodai Senga, it's like, what is going to be your zone pitch? Because it's always been the ghost fork as the out of the zone pitch. It's one of the best out of the zone pitches in the league. Last year, they tried to make that a zone pitch because people weren't swinging at it, and the fastballs were not good enough to throw in the zone. That's how the whole thing fell apart. He's trying to be a power pitcher. Willard said in this piece, Kodai knows the best version of himself is as a power pitcher. Get that fastball back to 99 and just lay it down on people. That's it. Fastballs and cutters in the zone, and then make them be afraid of that ghost fork.
Because remember, in 2023, when Kodai was awesome, he had high velo, and then that ghost fork just falling off the table. It was an unhittable combination.
But what that's also possibly telling me...
Bullpen.
Yes. That's possibly telling me that he's the swingman. He could be the piggybacker. Like, I think that... I mean, I've been saying it for years. Like, there might be more fluid roles for these pitchers the first part of the season. Like, we might get extended spring training through April for every Mets pitcher that's really not Nolan McLean or Freddie Peralta.
I do wonder how they consider like what to do with those guys, because I do think we know that like of those ancillary guys towards the back end of the rotation, Kodai's got without doubt the highest upside as a starter. I think out of all of them. And he probably also has the highest upside as a reliever. Like he is the best pitcher out of that group.
If he pitches the way he can pitch, like he's in between Freddie and McLean. Like he's that good. Like
literally.
Like I don't know. It's hard to remember that because it feels so long ago now. But like he can go on a stretch where he's a beast. But the big thing for that stretch was holding that fastball velocity and throwing that cutter in the zone, getting weak contact, and being the wrinkle for left-handed batters. So he's been messing around with the slider, all that bullshit the last few years. His velocity fell off a cliff last year. Like if he's more physical, and this article says he is from training more this offseason, that's fucking awesome. But that's to me, those were very interesting parts of that article. And again, everyone should read it because it's a lot of good nuggets about Manaea working on his changeup, about Kodai trying to get stronger, about McLean, about Freddie, just about Kevin Willard's freak of nature sense. Like, it's a great piece there. I don't know what's going to happen with these guys. We started this whole thing talking about Jonah Tong.
Literally.
But who still could be great if it clicks.
All right, we got the Warby Parkers. I got the Raiders. But one thing I upgraded to, polarized. Sorry about it.
Yeah, these are good, not only for wearing, but also out in the sun. When I become that baseball coach, I always want to be with my kids. I got the Hatchers. They're darker, a little bit wider for my face. They fit perfect. They're comfortable. It's an easy process to order these really, really cool glasses.
I am a diehard Warby Parker fan. I do have prescription glasses, and I wear Warby Parker every day for many years. I'm excited about this one. Give it a shot. Warby Parker gives you quality and better-looking prescription eyewear at a fraction of the going price. Our listeners get 15% off plus free shipping when they buy 2 or more pairs of prescription glasses at warbyparker.com/foul. That's 15% off when you buy 2 pairs of glasses at warbyparker.com/FOUL. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them Foul Territory sent you.
Next up, I think it would be crazy if we don't talk about Carson Benge. He might be the opening day right fielder, but also the Mets have made some moves just in case he isn't fully ready for opening day. Kind of weirdly going to be talking about Mike Tauchman and MJ Melendez again somehow, but Carson Benge is definitely one of the most interesting ones because simply he can win this job and he will just be the everyday right fielder if he's that good.
It seems like it's possible, but I think the Mets keep wanting to give reasons why he not why he can't, but ways that maybe doesn't have to happen right away. Like, I think they are concerned. It's probably happened with McLean and Peralta to a degree where just putting too much pressure on the young man like this, especially a guy like Benge, which we'll talk about in a second. He didn't perform quite well at AAA last year in his small stint. At the same time, his underlying batted ball data at the level said that the guy was very, very, very ready, which is why I think the Mets are holding for him, that he's very ready. But just a guy like Tauchman is absolutely, we say the phrase oatmeal a lot. He is Major League Baseball oatmeal.
Yeah.
The guy is average across the board. And average is pretty good when you have guys like Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto on your team.
Yeah, you can afford to have some guys like that, especially like if Mike Tauchman's going to hit 9th in this lineup. It's pretty good for, like, he's guy who gets on base 35% of the time. I know, like, everybody in the Mets world is talking about Mike Tauchman. There's a little too much talk, man, about Tauchman. But at the same time, like, for a floor guy, for the 26th player on a roster, truthfully, because even though he could be starting opening day, he really is probably the first guy that will get cut whenever Benge is ready. Like, I do think that he gives the Mets a nice round out towards the bottom of the lineup. If your 9-hitter has a 340 on base percentage, you're pumped.
And again, the next guy I want to talk about will weave these conversations together, Luis Robert. He has been injury-prone his career, to say the least. I think it's a really fair estimation of Robert. So I think that just having a guy like Tauchman, this guy's a bona fide major leaguer. Again, he's not going to be special. It is an average baseball player.
Very average.
Very average. This is an average guy.
And he's a horrible athlete. He's very slow.
Yeah, but he still can play the outfield well. He still has an okay arm. Like, the guy's a ball player. Foolish Baseball told us he gets on base. He will get on base. And especially a guy like Tauchman is a platoon advantage hitter. He'll never take a plate appearance against a left-handed pitcher, but that's okay. That's what you want. But just in case that Robert goes down, let's say Benge is super ready, he could slide over the center field then because he's good enough there. And then you have Tauchman, who it was a minor league deal they signed with him, but I don't believe he'll have an option. Whereas MJ Melendez has an option. I think it's a split contract. So I think that's just continuing to get more and more outfield depth to be behind, just because you just want to have more good major league players playing major league games.
Yeah, it's insulation if Carson Benge is not that guy on March 26th. But we still have all the confidence in the world that even if he's not on this team opening day, he'll be on the roster at some point and still is going to be a very good player. Like, him making the roster opening day doesn't change what I think about him.
What probably happens, he probably gets on the roster on, like, I think it's April 11th, which is the last day you can be on the roster and qualify for the full year of service time, which would mean Carson Benge will qualify for PPI incentives for the Mets.
Yes.
Which is meaning Carson Benge has to be on the Major League roster within the first 2 weeks of the season. And if he places for the Rookie of the Year, or if he places for an MVP award over the next 2 seasons, the Mets get a compensatory draft pick for calling him up and giving him that full year of service time as a rookie.
I also do wonder if there's anything, too, where the Mets were like, maybe his debut shouldn't be against Paul Skeens. Like,
Maybe.
Maybe we just don't want that. And maybe like when we go play the Diamondbacks and the A's the second week of April at home, maybe that's when Carson Benge can kind of get his hacks in and go up against a lot of 4A players that are going to be on the mound.
Yeah, Paul Skeens on national television opening day. Maybe. I mean, also, if he's ready, like, who cares?
Who cares? Yes.
I think the Mets keep signing these contracts, and it's all still knowing good and well. If he is ready, he will be playing on the major league team. And what he did at AAA last year, just like the 110 mile an hour max exit velocity, super high hard hit rate, super high barrel rate, like really good swing decisions, good in zone contact, like really good outfielder, really good athlete, getting better rapidly as he stopped being a two-way player. Because similar to his college roommate Nolan McLean, he was drafted to be a two-way player. Also, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the Mets YouTube channel, their content side.
It's been good.
It's been great. Carson Benge was talking about how much he loved Gushers. Jonah Tong was talking about maple syrup and his loving Tim Lincecum. Like Jack Wenninger did Reddit AMA too. My question did not get asked, which I was frustrated about, but that's okay.
We
that's
kind of
okay.
know the people who pick them, so
yeah. So yeah, probably. I mean, my Reddit name's not my name. It's my initials, but it's not my name. But it's just it's really fun that we have the opportunity to watch like a high end position player prospect like Carson Benge this year, and like there's a good chance he gets a job, and if he gets a job, and it probably could get a job early. It seems like they've really clearly opened this all up for him. And it seems like probably trade the Brandon Nimmo for him, honestly.
Yeah, but truthfully, they did, and also like to talk about the guy he could be playing next to in Luis Robert. We know the injury concerns. You mentioned it earlier. The Mets found out something interesting where they believe that they found a reason as to why Luis Robert has been getting all these lower half of his body injuries that he has throughout his career, and that they can work on strengthening those areas so that he is a more durable player. He's still taking BP, still doing all the stuff. He's just not going to appear games early, which I think is smart. Again, it doesn't matter if he plays on February 26th. I couldn't care less. But at the same time, I watched him take some BP today. Again, those videos you get. I don't know, how do all the reporters all of a sudden not have iPhones? Everyone has an iPhone nowadays. How is the quality of the video always so poor?
I think first of all, I think everyone's zooming in. I think you're a little bit further away than we realize. I also think, too, I don't think a lot of the people who are baseball beat writers are really keen to like the best iPhone camera settings.
Fair, true.
That's like a Venn diagram. It doesn't have that many people inside of it, truthfully. Me
write a complete sentence, them take a video. Those Venn diagrams,
bounce off each other. I might be able to get in between them. My videos still look like shit whenever I try to record something on my phone. But at the same time, it's just the Mets knowing that there's a good chance Robert gets hurt. But at the same time, maybe like they're just telling him to stretch and drink water. Like,
it could be that. He's also been attached to Juan Soto's hip, and the Mets have also said they're really excited about Robert just being around good players again. Like, it seems like he's a little rejuvenated in the fact that he's not looking around at guys where he's like, I am so much better than you. What the hell are you even doing here?
No, good reporting from Will Salmon, Tim Britton, and Laura Albanese on just a lot of the improvements that the Mets want to make. It seems like physically to Robert and just get him through a whole season, because it feels like such a layup that he's just going to be pretty good.
I mean, watching his BP, I was like, man, he still got it.
He's never lost it. Like, there's nothing wrong.
Well, he has, but
kind of. I mean, And then we had the line from Scott Boras on Foul Territory being like, which is classic Scott Boras after the fact. He's just getting ready for free agency the next 2 years of him. Yeah, where it's like, oh, we found something. We saw some clicked mid-season. Shame he got hurt, because you would have had that great second half. He was all ready for it after having 2 good weeks. But it's just, it feels, especially like starting to do fantasy baseball prep, this feels like a layup.
Yeah, this feels like an easy, like, no risk, go take a shot on him.
He's just really going to be good. And then moving on past these guys, another guy where it's starting to kind of feel like a layup. It was really easy to forget about him. Christian Scott.
Yeah.
Like the way that Mendoza and especially Justin Willard has been talking about Christian Scott right now, and the way Scott seems confident in his stuff, very long layoff after the Tommy John surgery. It happened the middle of the 2024 season, June 2024. I mean, actually, I think that's when he went out. I don't think he got the surgery till late that season, officially.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, September, August. But now it's just, oh God, that first fastball he threw, I was like, oh my God, it's back. It's so back.
Yeah, I mean, this was your boy. This was like
the first one.
This was your prospect crush, where you literally like, I have to be at his home debut.
Yeah.
You rearranged your schedule to make 100%. Sure you saw Christian Scott. Was it pitch against the Braves?
No, yeah, it was a home game against the Braves. I literally rearranged my schedule to watch his major league debut. I skipped a friend's birthday party for that one. I showed up at 10 p.m. I was like, I got to watch Christian Scott throw 5 innings. I think he might throw 6 in that one. But the biggest thing with him is just the fastball came back, and it's explosive. Like, he's back to where it has to be. The velocity's back in the mid to upper 90s. I saw that bat against Soto, too. I tweeted about it. Because
he struck him out, right?
Struck him out. Yeah. But it was a classic Christian Scott at bat, where the first fastball was great. Challenged him high, swung and missed. Soto gave him a look. Then he dropped a gyro slider, backdoor on him, a little tight slider, nabbed the corner. Then he tried to throw the new kick change against him. I think it's a new kick change. I mean, I can't tell that. I know he had the split change. I was working on a kick change. Whatever off speed threw to him was completely uncompetitive. Soto had his foot out of the box before the pitch was even halfway to the plate. And then he got him again with a high fastball. So I was like, damn, like if you could just get a pitcher that had problems with left-handed batters, if you can get the best one in the league out, your first shot at live BP since coming off major arm surgery, not bad, right?
Feels pretty good. Feels
Good place
like
to start.
To be excited about as a Mets fan. Also, just quickly to talk about Juan Soto. Clearly not a player to watch, but boy, does he feel really relaxed.
And he looks like he's having a great time. He was jumping up and down Francisco Alvarez. They were screaming, hugging each other.
39%. That's why.
Yeah, right. That's it. We got the quota. We finally did it. Mission accomplished. I mean, also, it's not a player to watch because one, he's injured, but the Steve Cohen Francisco Lindor comments were
Bizarre.
odd,
Yeah,
strange.
bizarre. We've talked about it off air. The way that I'm taking it, because I want positive spin zone, is that maybe like it bothered Francisco Lindor a bit just hearing all this stuff and like the unknown. And Steve Cohen's like, don't worry about it. Like we're not going to have a captain, so you don't need to be that guy. Don't worry about it. Go play baseball.
Yeah, the way I'm taking it is a little bit more of like the Junior Soprano angle of it, where it's you're never at the makings of a varsity athlete. Where Steve Cohen might be just like I don't know if you're a captain, dude. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to name a captain. And there's been rumbling still about the Brandon Nimmo stuff last offseason, about Juan Soto calling Starling Marte the captain of the team. So it just seems like everybody stop thinking about this. Who gives a fuck?
Let's focus on baseball. And ultimately, that's why I think it's a net positive. Baseball. I want Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto. I want everybody baseball. I don't give a shit about anything else with this team.
No, I think that's something this team needs to get back to and care about. But just had to mention those things briefly.
Quickly, a couple more players to talk about here on the offensive side. Francisco Alvarez, similarly, he's not going to be starting spring training games immediately like everybody else, but at the same time, the way that he ended the season, this feels like a guy who, as long as all the things are going in the right place, this might be the, 30 home runs from Francisco Alvarez this year. I'm so bought into the hype of Francisco Alvarez. Just stay healthy. Stop hurting your hand running. I don't know how he does it so much.
And on top of that, too, we never like to take spring training stats to heart, but there are very important statistical nuggets you can pull from spring training. Like if Alvarez just pops a few like 110s, 111s, like 112s exit velocity, you're like, all right, that boy's ready. Or if you see any like significant reduction in a spring strikeout rate, depending on his opponent quality, like he'll still run high swing and miss rates. I think he always will because he takes daddy hacks. Yeah. We don't need to be accurate with the stick if we're taking war hacks like Francisco Alvarez. Just make contact when you can. But if he can be a little bit more accurate with the stick, if he's striking out a little bit less often, like if we see any of that.
We saw that the second, at the end of the year, where it was like, oh my God, look, he's making more contact, he's hitting for power everywhere. This is that freak that we were excited about.
So it's just kind of finding those tiny little things, especially also getting back to like what we talked about with the pitchers. Like if you see Kodai Senga only come out for 2 innings every appearance in the spring and pump 99 the whole time, maybe he slotted for a piggyback role. Similar with Sean Manaea. Maybe the opposite with Tobias Myers or Jonah Tong. It's like whatever. The Mets are going to tell us a lot about what the early part of the season will look like this spring. So it's up to us to kind of take in those hints and figure it out for ourselves.
Like we saw Clay Holmes throwing 4 innings, like his first
time.
So you're a starter and that's it. There's no other option.
Like you're going to be a horse because we might need you to be, and you had to be.
He was, yeah. All right, next guy, Jorge Polanco. I think this is the opposite corner. When Mets go 2 different corners, 2 guys in positions they basically have never played before. Jorge Polanco also looks rough at first base right now, but I think he's got time. Again, he doesn't need to be able to play first base on February 18th. We need him on March 26th. And also, they're taking it easy with him, too, starting up, ramping into games because, of course, he's been riddled with injuries in his career as well.
And again, just more of this team acquiring depth. It's like if you have Talkman and Melendez, like you don't have to rely on Brett Baty, which you shouldn't have to do to play outfield. So if any of these infielders who are all really old or always get hurt go down, like Brett Baty can play any of their positions.
Mark Vientos could play first base, too. I know I've been, dodging him all off season pretty much since last year, but like he's on this team. I actually don't think he's going anywhere right now.
I'm starting to think now he is going somewhere.
Really?
I think when you get guys like Talkman and Melendez, I think it's just like
I know doesn't play first, does he?
No, I know, but right now like Beatty's might be on the field somewhere on opening day, but like
still need that right-handed bat because those are all lefties that you're mentioning.
100%, you definitely need the right-handed bat. That's the one thing that's still saving Mark Vientos. But if the only thing that's saving you is being a right-handed bat with no defensive utility at all, it's like, how much are you really being saved?
I will be telling you this. He's not a player I'm watching this spring. Don't.
No,
I'm not watching Mark Vientos for a second.
I don't even think I'm going to watch Team Nicaragua in the World Baseball Classic. They're
just protest.
I think he's the best player on the team.
That says a lot. Yeah.
And then I guess the last one, because we really discussed Tobias Myers having his role locked in. The last thing we had on our list was just kind of the amalgamation of minor leaguers that are going to be in spring training this year. Like Will Salmon and Justin Willard mentioned Ryan Lambert by name already. We've seen backfields of Dylan Ross throwing BP. We're going to see Christopher Suero there, who's starting to get the beginning of top 100 prospect buzz. If he looks like a premier athlete on a field with major leaguers, then it's like, whoa.
Yes.
Like, if we have Bronx Dalton Varsho.
I'd love
I'm gonna lose my
Bronx
shit.
Dalton Varsho. God, that'd be sick.
Friend of the podcast, Christopher Suero. Same thing with a guy like AJ Ewing or like Jacob Reimer. Like, if
Nick
those guys...
Morabito.
Yeah, like if those guys look like they fit in with Ryan Clifford especially too, like if these guys look like they fit in spring training and at bats against major league pitchers, it's kind of all systems go. We're going to see Wenninger. And also, have you noticed the Mets are acquiring an odd amount of catcher depth?
Ben Rortvedt is on the team.
Austin Barnes, apparently, there was a meeting of Mendoza, Willard, and Austin Barnes discussing Kodai Senga from one of the Salmon pieces.
Interesting. Is that because Barnes has caught the Japanese guys the last few years?
That's a reach. I don't know. That I got no clue on that.
I'm trying to connect the dots here. Pepe Sylvia.
I'm just saying it's interesting that, like, the fact that Carlos Mendoza is speaking to Austin Barnes like this much, who I think by all intents and measures we figured he'd be cut.
He's either going to be cut or he's going to really get to know Syracuse on a really personal level.
But is he like? I mean, it's like Ben Rortvedt too. It's like these guys. I don't think these guys have options. I think Barnes is NRI. I think Rortvedt signed us. Yeah, I think it was a minor league deal.
They'll go to AAA, but I'm just saying, like, it's either you're cut. They're not on the major league roster, barring an injury.
No, but it's interesting to me how we're acquiring this catcher depth, and we still have Luis Torrens, like, and Francisco Alvarez, of course. Maybe they're
just probably. You probably can't ever have too many catchers. Remember when Alvarez got hurt last year? We had Hayden Sanger. You need to make sure you have 4 catchers that you've heard of on your roster.
I mean, from that list, who would you rather have? Ben Rortvedt, Hayden Sanger, or Austin Barnes?
Give me Hayden Sanger all day.
That's what I'm saying.
100%.
Give me Hayden Sanger all day. So again, maybe it's just clearance for Alvarez, seeing what the injuries look like, seeing if a guy will accept a job in Syracuse. But
and also, briefly, Ronnie Mauricio too. Just got to mention him. I think if he gets a lot of run at shortstop this spring training. That tells me a little bit more about Francisco Lindor's injury than I'd like to know.
Yeah, for sure, way more. And then also just throw all the bullpen guys in the mix. Like, let's see if Craig Kimbrell has anything left.
Do you think he does? Craig Kimbrell's going to be on
really.
the opening day roster.
He probably is. He's probably just going to be on the opening day roster and get cut. Which
he gets cut after the West Coast road trip, basically.
Robert Stock's been on a wicked heather on Twitter. Everyone check out Robert Stock. He's hilarious on there. Again, like Joey Gerber, Alex Carrillo, Carl Edwards.
They have a lot of WBC guys too.
Yeah, they actually do in this bullpen. Mike Bauman. Adbert Alzolay would be a big one to watch as well.
Yes.
Let's see if Adbert has his stuff. Nate Lavender still seems like he can be fun and funky in a bullpen role. Like there's a lot of things. We got a lot of things to watch this spring.
A lot of things to watch. And those are our 10 players you should watch the most this spring. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you are subscribed to Mets'd on YouTube. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
And I'm Giraffe Nick Mark. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets.